All right, guys, if you're curious like me, this is going to be a great show. If you're curious like I am, this is going to be a great show. For the record, I saw the discussion in the chat before the show even started. This is what an electric blue hoodie looks like. There was a lot of call for red, and I'm not opposed to wearing red. I have a red hoodie, and I think I wore it a few weeks ago. So I may don the red hoodie next week. Give the people what they want, right? But not tonight. Not tonight. I'm not going to change in the middle of the show. We have a lot to discuss tonight. This is family chat night. We have a lot to discuss tonight. I mean, either one of these topics we're covering tonight could take hours, and we're not. And I don't have hours. It's 7:00 Central Standard Time. I don't have time to sit here and go hours and hours and hours, which means there may be follow-ups. There may be follow-ups to these. But that doesn't mean we can't have a great show tonight. And we're going to get a lot of information out, and I will answer as many of your questions as I can. So I do want to jump in. People saying sound up already. Man, I am blowing myself out over here. Hang on. See if that works. How about that? Is that sound up? I don't want it to clip. If you guys start hearing popping, I need to see comments that say popping, popping, popping. You'll hear it clipping at the top end. So what's the 10-year thing? I'm going to get to that, guys. I told you this last week. I'm going to get to this. I promise you I'm going to get to it. It's probably the biggest story I will have ever covered on air. Radio, podcast, television. This is probably the biggest story. Not tonight. This will probably be next week, if I had to guess. Probably next Sunday, but it could be next Wednesday. Meaning I'll do a Wednesday show in 3 or 4 days, however many days, 3 days that is. Then either Sunday or the following Wednesday, I'll do the big show. I am trying to nail down a couple of things. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but I build a lot of spreadsheets. I'm a spreadsheet junkie so that I can keep track of what I'm doing. I'll show you one tonight because it's relevant to what we're doing. All right. Let me jump right in. It's been 60 days. Oh. You guys need to determine whether I can wiggle or not. I get half of you saying, yeah, wiggle, be yourself, and the other half saying, it makes me dizzy, I don't feel good. Take a Dramamine. I mean, look, sometimes I wiggle, all right? So let me just tell you this. It's been 60 days since September 10th. That means tomorrow, today is November 9th, tomorrow will be 2 full months to the day since Charlie Kirk tragically passed away at the hands of an individual or a team who made careful plans to end his life in Orem, Utah. And if tomorrow marks 2 months to the day since Charlie Kirk passed away, that means today marks 2 months to the day since Charlie Kirk hosted Ben Shapiro on the Charlie Kirk Show. Many of you may have watched that or rewatched it. It's only a 17-minute clip. I'm not going to play the whole thing tonight because I think most of you probably have seen it or at least seen clips of it. And frankly, between the pain of listening to Ben Shapiro's voice and the sorrow, I guess is the word I'm looking for, of listening to Charlie's voice, I think the video should be reserved for special occasions. I am going to play a few short clips of it tonight. I mean, very short, like 10, 15 seconds each, maybe 20, and 2 or 3 of them, not 17 minutes of it. I cannot handle that man's voice. Ben, not Charlie. But I raised this interview tonight in light of a frankly bizarre sermon that Pastor Rob McCoy gave on August 22nd of this year, just 19 days before Charlie Kirk passed from this life. A fan of the show emailed me the sermon and suggested I review a few lines. They time-stamped it specifically and said, hey, listen to this. Does it sound weird to you? I thought, sure, why not? So I did. I reviewed the lines. And then I was so captivated by the few lines, I watched and then actually rewatched the entire sermon back to back. And I want to take this opportunity before I get into this to reiterate what I've stated time and time and time again on the show. When it comes particularly to the Charlie Kirk investigation, I do not draw conclusions. I raise issues that intrigue me. I encourage others to research these issues, to help find more information, frankly, about what happened to Charlie. But under no circumstances have I ever encouraged, nor will I encourage anyone listening to this program to reach out to anyone about anything we discuss here. I strongly encourage you not to do so. But suffice it to say, Rob McCoy's sermon intrigued me. And I think people should hear it. I think people should hear portions of it. I think it also will intrigue them. Some background before we review it. Rob McCoy refers to some scriptures in the passage that he doesn't read. In the sermon, rather, that he doesn't read. And that's fine. People don't have to, he can run his own church. That's great. But and some biblical literacy, I think, can be assumed when you're speaking to a congregation. I don't assume the same biblical literacy exists here or in all corners of the internet. So I may explain a few verses. In fact, I'm going to do it in just a second. I'm going to explain a few verses from a passage that he refers to, but he doesn't read. And the passage is Matthew 18. The portion of Matthew 18 that Rob McCoy refers to is found in verses 15 to 18. It's about applying Christian discipline to a believer who's hurting other believers. And it's an easy formula. It's 3 steps. Step 1, if somebody sins against you, you go directly to that person yourself. Step 2, if he doesn't listen to you when you go directly to him yourself, you take someone along with you. And step 3, if he refuses to listen to the group you take with you, then you treat him as you would a Gentile or a tax collector. In other words, you cut him off, you get rid of him. Now, imagine, for the sake of argument, Rob McCoy or some other Christian thought Charlie was harming the church because of his position on Israel. Step 1, have a face-to-face with Charlie alone. Being Charlie's pastor and being the leader of TPUSA Faith, Rob McCoy probably would be an obvious candidate for that discussion. Step 2, if he wouldn't listen to you, if it was Rob McCoy, if it was someone else, and they wouldn't listen to you, step 2, go to Charlie with a few people. People who share the same concern. Perhaps you could do it in the Hamptons or somewhere convenient where rich people can gather and not draw too much attention, because those are the people who were concerned about Charlie's position on Israel. Step 3, if he wouldn't listen to you when you went alone and he wouldn't listen to you and your buddies when you guys took a group to him, step 3, according to Rob McCoy, according to Matthew 18, step 3 is to cut him off. Step 3 is to cut him off. Or cut him down, I suppose. So do we have evidence these steps took place with Charlie? Yes, we do. Recall the timeline. From July 11 to July 13, Charlie hosted the TPUSA Summit, where he invited, among others, Dave Smith, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson. You've heard some of these names. You've heard these names recently as conservatives are wringing their hands talking about them and their positions on foreign policy. In early August, Charlie meets with his concerned supporters in the Hamptons, and they discuss, among other things, his views on Israel, his actions relative to Israel. And then Rob McCoy gives the sermon we'll review tonight on August 22nd. In that sermon, he states, and I will play this, that Charlie has agreed to stop discussing Israel and focus his attention instead on Muslims. I'll repeat that, even though some of you seem very annoyed by the fact that I repeat things. I repeat things because sometimes you have to hear them a few times to understand them. I'll repeat it again. In that sermon, he states, and I will play it, that Charlie Kirk has agreed to stop discussing Israel and focus instead on Muslims. Well, that was August 22nd. On September 9th, Charlie Kirk hosts Ben Shapiro on the Charlie Kirk Show and drills him on Israel and Gaza. I'll play tonight 3 short clips of key questions Charlie asked Ben that indicate he had very much not, as Rob McCoy stated in his August 22nd sermon, agreed to move on from questions about Israel and instead focus on Muslims. So after that, we'll look at a few short clips from McCoy's undeniably strange, weird sermon, especially strange and weird in light of how we know the Charlie Kirk story ended. We know how his life was brutally cut short at the age of 31. After that, I want to shift gears, and I want to focus on the founding of the Daily Wire. And I want to focus on it for 2 reasons. First, Ben Shapiro is taking on an outsized version of his role as the incessant persistent, annoying hall monitor. Actually, one of the funniest things I've heard in a long time. One of the funniest things I've heard since Charlie Kirk passed about this whole thing was on the Provoked podcast, either yesterday or the day before. That's Scott Horton and Daryl Cooper. They have a really good podcast. Everybody should listen to it. Daryl Cooper said Ben Shapiro's voice is anti-Semitic. And when he said it, I paused, back, you can do like back 10 or back 15, whatever. His voice is what? Pause, back 10. And he said it again. Ben Shapiro's voice is anti-Semitic. That if you had a hand in casting a character to play like a Jewish media mogul and you gave him your character Ben Shapiro's voice, you'd be accused of anti-Semitism. It's that bad. But the second reason is a few episodes I referred to Charlie Kirk as a product. And I meant it in the sense that leaders of most of these political movements tend to be products. And some of you took offense to that and said ugly things to me in email. And that's fine. That's fine. But after reviewing a little bit about the Daily Wire's founding, we need to ask ourselves if Ben Shapiro isn't also a product, or if his voice is just so compelling that he forced his way into power and influence on the right. So I appreciate you guys joining me here on the Real Baron Podcast. I am your host, Baron Coleman. You can like, subscribe, click notifications, all that good stuff. The best thing you can do is share this with people. If you know someone that thinks kind of like you or you wish thought kind of like you, please share it with them. Just say, hey, check this guy out. We like him. With that said, let's jump right into the program. All right. I've got to pull up a little bit of this Rob McCoy. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. I got to pull up a little bit of this Rob McCoy sermon. Because what you're going to hear, now granted, I don't go to one of these Calvary churches. I don't know much about them. I don't know what kind of sermons they normally give. I haven't watched a lot of Rob McCoy sermons. I don't intend to, especially after this one. Whew. I don't go to churches often, and I'm not knocking your church. I don't go to churches often where this is the presentation style. But let me just play for you a few clips here to set the tone for what I think. Well, I'm not going to tell you now. I'll tell you at the end. Because I think you'll already conclude the same thing I've concluded. I'm not drawing conclusions, meaning I'm not telling you what you should think. I don't really care what you think. I'm telling you what I think. Or I'm telling you what I find compelling and that we should pay attention to. Listen to this opening. This is the opening. This is 6 minutes and 45 seconds into the sermon. Keep in mind, I'm Catholic. 6 minutes and 45 seconds into most of our pre-sermons they're almost over. Like we go 8 minutes. This thing went 53 minutes. 53 minutes. If I showed up to a sermon that was 53 minutes, I would have a panic attack. All right, let me just play a clip of this. This, I think, is the opening. I've just got some timestamps here. I didn't put exactly what he was going to cover. I think this is the opening where he says that Charlie's agreed. Now, again, I don't know why this is part of a sermon. I don't understand why this is part of a sermon. But he says essentially Charlie's agreed to move on from Israel and not talk on Israel and move on to Muslims. Why this is taking place in a California Christian church, I will never understand, but here we go. Oh, I gotta share the screen. It'll do no value to you for me to begin with. Check out the backdrop. Have you ever seen a backdrop like that at church? It looks, I'm just telling you, it looks like he is in heaven itself. Glory, hallelujah. He is speaking from the clouds. A lot of Protestant sermons are between 30 and 60 minutes. That's a lot of, if you can't say it faster than that, heapers, creepers. All right, let me play this real quick.
It's all about me. So just real quick, we went to the Pastors Summit, and it was phenomenal. Charlie has now pivoted with all the struggles and the division over Israel in the body of Christ, and now he's focusing on Islam, and he's taking on Islam, which is phenomenal, but his death threats have increased exponentially since that time because it is a religion of peace, and it's...
All right, let me pause you because maybe I didn't give enough background. This sermon is called Endeavoring for Unity or something like that. Let me back it up and see if I can figure out what it's called. Yeah, Endeavoring for Unity. You see that right there? Oh, I've downloaded something for you people. Check this out. You see that right there? Oh, you don't see it. Oh, man, it's not coming across. On my screen, it's a giant green bubble where the mouse is, but on your screen, it's still just a mouse, but whatever. I'll turn it off then. That's $15 in the gutter. That didn't work. All right. Now, endeavoring for unity. So the fundamental message Pastor Rob McCoy is giving here is that division bad for the church, unity good. Division bad, unity good. Amen, brother. I agree. But he goes on to say that for the sake of unity, Charlie has agreed to give up talking about Israel. I could play it again, but you just heard it. You can get the rewind button there if you need it. He's agreed to give up talking about Israel for the sake of unity. Now, let me fast forward just a hair. This is going to be a little longer clip than the one I just played, but this really, I think, sets the tone for what's coming. And again, I don't want to give you my conclusion now. You probably know my conclusion after that 30-second clip. He just set up that Charlie is endeavoring for more unity to stop talking about Israel, but he's getting a lot more death threats now. What? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, and why would you say that? Unless you're setting something up. I don't want to turn it any louder, so I may get closer. I continue to see your comments over there. Let me play this little clip here, and I might pause it in the middle of this. I've got it time-stamped out, but I might pause it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just getting into the bizarro world. Like, we are just entering bizarro world. This is why I think Catholics keep their homilies to under 8 minutes. Because when you go for 53 minutes, sometimes you admit to conspiracy to, sometimes you say too much.
And when I was sharing the last time I was with you all, I was talking about 18 million Jews as opposed to 2 billion in Islam and over 50 nations. And somebody got up and walked out in the first service. I didn't see it. I wasn't aware of it. But it was a sheepdog who...
Real quickly, why is he talking about 18 million Jews versus 2 billion Muslims in a Christian service in California? That's what I don't understand. It's obvious, because I've not watched a lot of these homilies he gives, but it's obvious, just based on the way he's talking, that this is something he's obsessed with. This is something he talks about a lot in front of his parish. He must. Or because if, out of context, if somebody said, yeah, hey, I was talking to Charlie the other day, and he's agreed to stop talking about Israel. He's only going to talk about Muslims now. In any other church I've ever been in, people go, what the hell is this guy talking about? Charlie who? And what was he saying about Israel? And what's he saying about Islam? What are you talking about, Pastor Rob? And then as soon as he goes to the 18 million Jews versus 2 billion Muslims, I mean, like, what? What are you talking about? But he says it so casually, like you would say it to like your kids. Or you would say it to your neighbors. Like, it's weird. It's frankly weird. And guys, August 22nd was the date. I saw someone ask the date. August 22nd. Ladies and gentlemen, this is up for debate, apparently. I see this a lot in the comments. You make the call. I will not help you out on that. Okay. Let me get back to Pastor Rob McCoy.
One of the security said that they downloaded all the things they didn't like about the message on and on and on. And they told me in the back, and he said, and I sat through the second message to listen for all the things that they had shared. And he said,
here's what he's saying. I'm going to have to skip some of this because he just rambles. I see now why he talks for 53 minutes. You could do it in 8 minutes. When I was in law school, let me tell you a side story here. When I was in law school, our very first writing assignment, we had to write some kind of a brief or something. I don't even remember what it was about. But our very first writing assignment, I remember he said, you got to keep it to 8 pages. And I thought, 8 pages, no sweat. I'd love to write less than 8 pages, sir. Well, you get to writing and you realize, wait a minute, it's going to take me 12 or 15 pages to say all of this. And I remember going to him. His name was, I'm not going to say his name. I remember going to the good professor, the good legal writing professor, and saying, sir, I cannot possibly say all this in 8 pages. He said, then you'll never make a very good lawyer. He said, nor will you make a very good communicator, because you have to figure out which words don't matter and get rid of them. And that lesson has stuck with me. I write crisp and clean when I write. Pastor Rob McCoy does not speak crisply nor cleanly. Here's what he's going to tell you. This is the winding, meandering 5-minute story he's about to tell. Apparently, there was a guy, while he was having another Islam versus Muslim discussion a week or two ago, not sure what date it was, but there was a guy who got upset with the message and left. And while he was leaving, another guy was walking in. His name, I think he said, was Richard, and Richard was a Jewish guy who was led by the Holy Spirit to this church on that particular day. And on that day, he asked Pastor Rob McCoy to pray with him. And lo and behold, he receives the Holy Spirit and he becomes a Christian. That's the story that he's telling. That's the story he's telling. Guys, this has become a real issue, hasn't it? Like it's a whole argument taking place over here. Anyway, so he's telling this story. For one, I don't believe the story. I'm sorry. I think Rob McCoy's full of garbage here. I don't believe anything he just said. But even if it's true, you're telling a story to shame one of your members who got upset with something you said? Like, well, this guy was saved. His life was saved. His soul was saved. I'm sorry you were upset with my message about how great Israel is and how bad all Muslims are. I mean, draw your own conclusion here. I don't think it's a particularly compelling story he told, but you might. So I'm going to skip that story because I don't believe it, frankly. I would love someone to point me to the name of Richard. I would like to interview him. Now, this is a bizarre story here. Now, I don't think this is the bizarre one. Pretty soon, he says, essentially, we had an atheist giving the sermon this last time, not too long ago. But we liked it because we liked the atheist message. Ladies and gentlemen, if your church is having atheists give the sermon, I question your commitment to the Lord and Savior. I do. I'm sorry. I do. But let's.
Then I was listening, and then we'll get into the reading of the word. I was listening to Steve Deese and Charlie Kirk on the podcast on the drive up from San Diego. And Steve Deese commented, he said, look, I was raised dispensational. I am a dispensationalist. He's going through all of his theological positions. You don't need to know what all that means. Suffice it to say, everyone holds different views in some respects. And he said, I believe that the Jews are God's chosen people. I believe that there's a political Israel and a spiritual one, as Ezekiel 37 says. And but I also, he pointed out, he says, I also understand that young people, 18 to 30-year-olds, just are struggling. In the 1950s, 50% of 30-year-olds were married and owned a home. Today, it's 8% of 30-year-olds. It's hard to live here. They're either going to pursue Christ and change the country, or they're going to embrace Mamdani and AOC and embrace socialism to burn it all down. Because there has to be radical transformation economically to rebuild this country. And as I was listening to Steve talk, he said, you have dark forces out there that say they're not anti-Semitic, but they camp on specific issues. And he says, if you find yourself talking more about AIPAC than you do about CARE, and if you don't know, those are other lobbying groups. One is a lobbying group for the Jews, and the other is CARE, which is the Islamic lobbying group.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I go to church and I'm getting a lecture about you should support AIPAC and not care, okie dokie, Pastor. Are we talking about Jesus yet? Jesus? The Lord and Savior? El Señor? For our friends south of the border? I mean, what are you talking about? And to begin with, I know an old pastor's trick because it's an old radio trick. It's a communications trick. When you want to talk about something, but it doesn't fit, I'm giving away a secret I shouldn't give away. Radio hosts and podcasters all over America are going to hate me for telling you this. They hate him for giving away this secret. If you have a little tidbit of information you want to get in, but you can't figure out how to get it in, you just say it, and you say it sandwiched in between two things, and then everybody thinks they get lost, and they think that it made sense and it was right to be there. So, for example, he picks up, he says, I'm listening to Steve Deese and Charlie Kirk, right? And just Steve was talking about dispensationalism. You know how this dispensation. Listen, for you moron retards out there, you may not understand what all these big, hefty $6 words mean, but trust me, we smart people up here in the pulpit and on the podcast, we know what it means, so just go along. And then he goes off and he says, and they're saying that the people are hurting out there, and they're hurting so bad that they might not be able to get a house. Well, what does that have to do with listening to him talk about dispensationalism? Now, then he goes back after he does the dispensationalism into society's unaffordable. Now he goes back into, and people talking about the Jews, that needs to stop. The hell does that have to do with any of it? What the hell does that have to do with any of it? And I use that word literally, hell. I don't care what kind of background you have up there. That ain't the right one, brother. That ain't the right background. Should be a little warmer. Oranges and yellows. Reds. I'm sorry. This is not a Christian presentation, but we continue.
Which has been coined by a number of governments across the world as a terrorist organization. And, you have 7,500 Kurds and Christians in Syria who have just been mowed down and murdered. And there's nothing in the news about that. Nobody's reporting that. Matthew Faraci, my friend, Tim Ballard, they're all on the front lines, video. I've watched it. It's sickening. But the concern is over the 18 million Jews that, rule the world, apparently.
What are you talking about, dude? Now, let me pause my discussion of Pastor Rob McCoy's homily from August 22nd to address Elizabeth Miller in Texas. Liz, baby, it is less than 7 pages. It is fewer pages. See the difference there? See the difference? Less than, fewer. If you can count them, it's fewer. You can't count less than pages. All right. Let me get back to the good pastor because he's only got a few seconds left in this clip.
And my point on all this.
Yes, Pastor. What the hell is your point of all this? Please do share. We're dying to hear.
Is we have to have dialogue. We have to work through these things. There's going to be differences. And when we get to Romans 16, especially verse 17, just because someone is different doesn't mean you get to walk out.
That's the point. That's the point. And why was he so confident saying this? Because as he opened, Charlie Kirk had changed his opinion. Charlie Kirk had changed his opinion. So he's comfortable saying all this stuff. Hey, we just need to talk it out. This, to me, you ever notice that some people, when they speak publicly, are actually talking to a particular person? They're actually talking to one person. They're not talking to the 2,000 people who showed up to go to church that day. They're talking to one person. Maybe they hurt their feelings. Maybe they're upset with their theological position. Maybe you hurt their feelings. And they wrote a sermon, and they're hoping to God you showed up that day. And they're going to tell you what it is. I think this sermon was written for Charlie Kirk. I don't know if Charlie was there that day. But essentially what he's saying is, Charlie, brother, we had a disagreement, and for the sake of the kingdom, you have put aside the dissension, and you've agreed to focus on the thing we're telling you you're allowed to focus on, which is Muslims bad. Muslims bad. Okay. So then he goes into actually opens a Bible. It's shocking, I know. And he reads Romans chapter 16. At the end of chapter 16, and I'm not going to play that part because it's 20 minutes long, believe it or not. At the end of that part, he talks about the very end where Paul says you must mark these people who are causing dissension. You must mark them. It's a very dark message Rob McCoy is giving. If you are dissenting, we will mark you. I don't know what version it is. Someone asked if it's NIV. I don't know. But let me fast forward to where he puts he starts putting the atheist in here. Hold please. I got my timestamps. All right, here we go.
Their motives are essentially selfish and fleshly. I mean, I'm watching in the dark side of this world of pseudo-Christian, and the Jewish topic is, you may be tired of it, but too bad. It's what we're facing. And you're watching some of these folks on podcasts that's their focus point. Every single thing is always that. And never bringing up any of the issues around the world of, you want to talk about genocide. Let's really look at that term genocide. But they're not looking for the genocide. They have an agenda with a group of people that they believe to be responsible for all the evil in the world. Well, that's problematic. It takes us back to.
All right, two things. One is I did mention his Sunday morning clothes, but I did it in a polite manner because, again, I don't know where you guys go to church. Perhaps an untucked, ill-fitting golf shirt that has a milk stain on it and that the button at the bottom is clinging on for dear life. That was a lot of Miller Lights ago that shirt fit. Maybe that's the look a lot of you go for. And I don't know, are those some Levi 501 blues? I don't know what those are. Fancy. I mean, he could be going to give a sermon, or he could be going to get a pack of Winston's and the Daily Journal and then head back to the house. I don't know which. So I did comment, but I wasn't going to be ugly because who am I to tell your pastor how to dress? I don't think Moses was dressed like that, nor Aaron, nor any of the other high priests. But again, he's not a high priest. We don't have those anymore. So who knows? So that's one. Number two, he's back on this he's back on this Israel thing. You know, for him saying everybody else is obsessed about the topic, I'm not obsessed with the topic. He's obsessed with the topic. I mean, if it comes up, let's talk about it. But why do you keep bringing it up over and over and over and over? Now, this is a great pastor story here talking about this, but he's going to talk about money. I know you're shocked. Going to talk about money. And I want you to understand his point about the money and apply it in your mind to Charlie Kirk's situation. So let's just listen together, shall we?
To know the good than to know the evil. Again, it goes back to that simple illustration that I've heard 1,000 times in sermons all over the country, that the Treasury Department, they don't detect counterfeit bills by observing all the bad ones. The agents only study real currency. And they know everything about the real currency. They focus on what's good. And then that way they're able to detect what isn't real currency, because they have become familiar. They know currency like we're supposed to know the Word of God. Instead of, going into every Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole and until you're up at night and you've got the whiteboard like Glenn Beck with all the things and the yarn going everywhere, and you're just agitated. You just got to tell people where everything is. And you quote a scripture and they're like, what's that? Focus on what is good. Focus on the Word of God. And the idea is be simple towards what is evil.
All right, so he just told you. If you're starting to connect dots, you're evil. Well, what do we do on this program, right? We connect dots. Connecting dots right now, Pastor. Connecting dots right now. You're kind of telegraphing the game. Later on in the sermon, I got 2 or 3 more clips I'm going to play. Later on in the sermon, you want to talk about telegraphing the game. I'm going to let you draw your own conclusion. I might or might not tell you my conclusion. You'll know it when you hear it. You'll know it when you hear it. Now, let's. Who does this guy put in the pulpit? Who does this guy put in the pulpit? Listen to this story. I had to stop. I had to rewind and listen again. Both times I listened to the sermon, I could not believe the person he said he invited to preach out of his pulpit.
We've done things churches don't do. We had an atheist on the pulpit. Remember James Lindsay? And then now he's an agnostic. Hopefully he's a believer by now.
James Lindsay, the woke guy, the guy that made a living for himself out of pointing out wokeness. James Lindsay is so hostile to religion. I mean, hostile to Christianity. He is so hostile to people on what I presume many of you, our side of the aisle. That's who he had preaching at his church.
But people were like, how can you have him in the... Because he's talking on a subject that he knows better than anyone in the church does. And he's not pretending himself to be a Christian. He's not masquerading as a Christian. He's helping educate us on critical race theory and diversity, equity, inclusion, and what's happening in the churches in America. And thank God that he was there for us when that happened. And when I was sitting in the podcast with Garrett and Micah yesterday, and they were asking the question about Islam, and as we're starting to focus on the atrocities of Islam, and when we're talking about genocide, we're going through this, and Garrett's asking me questions about Islam, and you have Shia and Sunni and other sects, and you want to go through all the caliphates and all that stuff. I said, time out. I said, where we are right now, especially with the pivot Charlie made, is he's gone.
Especially with the pivot Charlie made. What pivot? Oh, that's right. The antecedent to that was what he covered at minute 645 of the sermon, which is Charlie has decided to stop talking about Israel and focus his intent instead on the evils of Islam. And so he invites James Lindsay in. Atheist, hostile to Christianity, hostile to, right after he comes off saying anybody who tries to draw connection, hey, don't be drawing connections. You're evil. You're evil if you start thinking. No thinking. I'll tell you what to believe. Either I or atheist James Lindsay will tell you what to believe. But especially with the pivot Charlie has made.
On there, and the churches are going to follow. I said, where we are, and I said this to Garrett and Mike, I said, where we are right now is where we were in 2017 and 18 when COVID hit.
All right, he's off a couple years on COVID. Now, I'll give him that. I mess up names and dates all the time, so I'll give him that. The first time I heard it, I was very confused. I was like, why were people sitting at home in 2018? But I went back and listened to it. He just got the date wrong. But this is bizarre. Guys, yes, he read a chapter of the Bible. Yes, he read a chapter of the Bible, but what he did with that chapter essentially is say, if Charlie had not turned away from criticizing, Israel, then then he would have been dissension. He would have been in violation of all this stuff. He would have been a marked man. Mark. Now, I didn't play all that language for you, but he talks about how you have to mark these people. Mark. And at the end, he prays and thanks Jesus that we get to mark people. It's a weird prayer he closes with, but I digress. Let me flash forward just a couple of we only got a couple of these clips left.
He's written a book, and we start to devour it. Now we're educated. We're prepared for the next onslaught. Well, that's where we are with Islam right now. Churches don't have any clue, but they're taking over Europe. It is a parasite. And I say that. It is a parasite. And some of you are, oh, Pastor, it is, there's... Why is every Islamic refugee coming to America? Why don't they refugee to an Islamic country?
Yeah, duly noted. Good question. But beside the fact, don't you see how he was telegraphing before Charlie Kirk passed to his audience the move that the greater mainstream Republican narrative would take just in the few weeks? Because I've been kind of like taken by storm here lately with a number of mainstream right-wing uniparty influencers who are focused on Islam all of a sudden out of nowhere. All of a sudden out of nowhere. Like, we haven't really talked about Islam much since the global war on terror wound down 10 years ago. I mean, it's been a while. It's been a while. But here he is, August 22nd, 3 weeks before Charlie Kirk passes away, 19 days before Charlie Kirk passes away, predicting this change, predicting this transfer of energy back over to Islam for some reason. Wonder why? Obviously, because we have to gear up to go to war to fight Islam. He even talks specifically, I don't know if I've got this clip geared up or not, but he talks specifically about Iran and how important it is that Iran become Persian again. He totally doesn't understand demographics because he says there are no Persians left in Iran. That's just flatly not true. Absolutely Persians left in Iran. They might be Muslim now, but they are Persian nonetheless. I mean, just like you could be a white person and be Muslim, or you could be a black person and be Muslim. Muslim doesn't equal Arab. It's a mistake a lot of people like Rob McCoy make. Gosh, I cannot get over that outfit. Look at that. What a specimen. What a specimen. Look at that. I have 8 children younger than that shirt. I mean, I think that's the shirt he wore when he delivered Domino's back when he was like in his 20s. Anyway, let me go forward here. We got 2 more clips. Each of these is under a minute.
We don't have the luxury of division. We don't have the luxury of division. If we're going to take on the parasite that's engulfing the world, and evil is going to push back.
To be clear, the parasite he's talking about is Islam, not the parasite other people think is engulfing the world.
And bite, we're going to need to be unified. And we don't have the luxury of petty divisions over silly things. Go work it out. I mean, just go fix it. And what's really cool is when you do that, you go, you know what? You have this quirky thing that's driving me nuts. When you eat your food, and I saw it when we were at the men's breakfast, you do this. I had a teacher that did that, and it was the most annoying thing, and that teacher was awful to me, and I want to kill you.
You want to what, bro? You want to what, bro? I don't think he meant to say that. That, I think, was a little bit of a, what do they call that? A Freudian slip? When he's annoyed with people, he wants to what them? I don't think he meant to say that. I don't think that was in the transcript. I don't think that was in his prepared remarks. Hey, listen to that again. somebody annoys you. Now, keep in mind, the whole sermon obviously is about Charlie Kirk. Obviously is about Charlie Kirk. The whole sermon obviously is about people who are not upset enough about Islam and are upset about what's going on in the Middle East in Israel. That's the whole sermon. 53 minutes and 50 seconds of it. 53 minutes and 35 seconds of it. Excuse me. Listen to what he said again. I want to what you?
You have this quirky thing that's driving.
Keep in mind, it's not the quirky things, not the chewing. That's the analogy. What he's talking about is you have this thing where you're on a whiteboard, and you remember he went to the cork board and the wires and all the. You have this thing where you try to connect dots, and I don't like it, and it causes dissension, and it makes me want to. Wait, what did you say?
Me nuts when you eat your food, and I saw it when we were at the men's breakfast. You do this. I had a teacher that did that, and it was the most annoying thing, and that teacher was awful to me, and I want to kill you.
Bro. I have no explanation to where that would be an innocent part of this sermon. 53 minutes and 35 seconds is how long the sermon is. 53 minutes and 35 seconds of it is about Charlie Kirk. It's about Islam and it's about Israel. 53 minutes and 35 seconds of this sermon is about people who focus and dwell on Israel are causing dissension, and we need to stop them. We need to approach them. We need to see if we can win them over, and if we can't, we need to cut them off. And then he is making a joke, trying to make light of it. But you know, he just said what he wants to do with those people. He just said what he wants to do with those people. Allegedly. I should bathe this whole video in allegedly. I don't doubt he's a litigious man. Or murderous. Either way, I don't want a piece of it.
Closing out the letter to what would become probably the most profound of all the churches, the church at Rome. He dropped that in. He said, I beseech you. I beg you. Don't allow division or offense. Work through it. Resolve it. And if it doesn't, just put a mark on them.
Put a what on them, bro? If you can't work out the division, put a what on them, bro? What did you say?
He dropped that in. He said, I beseech you. I beg you. Don't allow division or offense. Work through it. Resolve it. And if it doesn't, just put a mark on them. Keep an eye on them. And if it gets to one or two offenses and they're not willing to change and they're causing problems, then bring it to the Matthew 18 sector.
Remember, the Matthew 18 sector is approach them once by yourself, twice with a group, and then cut them off. We know when the group took place with Charlie Kirk, we heard all about the meeting in the Hamptons. And if they still won't get in line, you cut them off. Or to put it in his parlance, they make you want to blank them.
It's healthy. We're a family. That's how we do it.
We're a family. That's how we do it. You know who else says that? The mafia! The mafia! The mafia says that. The mafia, the mafia, the mafia. We're a family. No offense. I gotta whack you. I hope you don't take it the wrong way, Tony, but I gotta do you in. No offense. You've been mocked. We came to you. Mario came to you. Mario came to you. And you wouldn't listen to Mario. So Mario took Giuseppe. And he took Johnny. And now you won't listen to them either. So now we got a mark. You've been marked. You've been marked, Charlie. Now we got to cut you off. We got to do you in. No hard feelings. We're a family. It's how we do things around here. Brother, if the priest or the pastor or whatever at your church talks like this, basically calls his shot. He kind of looks like Babe Ruth in his prime, rotund. I mean, he practically pointed the bat to center field and said, Charlie, catch this. I don't know, guys. I listened to the sermon twice. That's how concerned I was. I listened to it twice. I couldn't believe my ears when I heard it the first time. I couldn't believe my ears when I heard it the first time because in its totality, it means exactly what it says. And it is telegraphing, in my opinion, just an opinion. I'm not telling you this is a fact. I'm not telling you this guy did anything. But come on. You heard the key parts. This has been sitting on the internet since September 10th. I don't see how anyone on earth, knowing what we know about TPUSA, the McCoy's involvement, 3 of them now working there, TPUSA Faith with Rob McCoy, the amazing General McCoy, Mikey, walking off at a moment's notice, and his Soviet bride. His Ukrainian Soviet bride. I don't know anyone else who would conclude. I mean, this is, you know how people are like, oh, Tyler confessed. Didn't you read the text messages? Bro, Rob confessed. Tyler didn't confess. Rob confessed. Allegedly. In my opinion. I don't want to get Charlied by Rob. All right, let me go through some of these here real quick. I got to get to the Daily Wire thing. That was the lead story, and I'm 52 minutes in and haven't gotten it. Everybody wiggles. You're normal. Thank you, Jolly Lollipop. You the man, Baron. Can't wait for the Pastor McCoy take. Guys, sketch. Agreed. I hope you agree. Well, I don't hope you agree. You make up your own mind. Has anything fell off the shelf since the other night? Not since I've been in here. Not while I've been in here. Maybe it was the topic. Maybe it was me just dancing around a little too much, wiggling. Maybe I wiggled everything loose already. Oof, highly suspect sermon. Is this even real? Oh, it's real. And it's spectacular. That's a Seinfeld reference. Thank you, Edibger, is something, whatever you are. Thank you. Jesper, greetings from Finland. 3 a.m. Baron's live, so sleep can wait. Agreed. There's no reason to be sleeping right now. Wake up. 3 a.m. is time to get up anyway. I was up at 4 this morning. UK is with you. 1:30 a.m. here. You're coming up. I got some UK news straight ahead on about the founding of the Daily Wire. There were some UK hits, and the timing works. Jason Souza, I don't know what color hair Baron has, but his beard is definitely gray. Guys, I got to tell you a quick story. My son, he's 5. He comes in and he said, I drew a picture of you, Daddy. And it was beautiful. I had a shirt, had a pants, had shoes. I mean, the kind of shoes that are like size 73s, like 5-year-olds draw. And then my lower part of my mouth was all covered up. And I was like, what's that, buddy? And he's like, oh, that's the silver. That's silver. I colored your beard. Out of the will. J. Klein, 8550, the largest population of Jews in the Middle East outside of Israel is in Iran, and they have freedom to freely practice their religion. The people I don't know much about Iranian daily life. I'll take your word for it, but I don't know. Captain J. Kirk and Dr. McCoy. Captain Charlie J. Kirk and Pastor McCoy. I don't know what that means, but I'm with you. Baron, you are indeed king. This video is friggin' gold. Hey, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your generous donation. I appreciate the compliment. You guys are free to compliment me whenever you want. The judge is here. Amen, brother. Baird was a recommendation from my boomer mom from the Balkans. Yeah, if you know, you know. She was right. You're hilarious and straight on point. Is she still in the Balkans? Or she lives here now from the Balkans? Fuzzy logic either way. Touching the little baby demon hand in the pulpit. Brother Demon is right. I'm sorry. Someone needs to get a fire hose and a tank of holy water and douse that whole building. I'm sorry. I now know well, I'm being polite. Hunter Kozak is off the Unblank America tour website now. Okay. Wonder if that means he's about to get popped or he's just annoying. Rob stutters a lot and doesn't sound to look confident at all. Is this another speaker tactic? Yes, it is. It is. It's what happens when you wake up late and have to come speak in what you slept in. That's Mickey's shirt. Oh, Mikey's shirt. No. Mikey's would be rainbow colored. For sure, a Kirk-focused sermon. Correct, E-Bid girl. Correct. 100%. It was written to him. I have one more point to make about that, by the way. He is not preaching. He's a charlatan giving a political message. I wouldn't walk. I'd run out of this church. I would too, Cheryl Justin. Good call. Thanks to who sent that to Barron. That ain't no church I'd go to. I don't remember the name of the person who emailed it. I wouldn't give it anyway because they emailed it and did it privately. But thank you. Thank you, whoever you are. That was, every now and then I get really good tips in these emails, and that was a great one. Speaking of money concern in Matthew 18, his TP Faith pal Foyt would know a thing or two about that. Look up Truth and Freedom Stories. I don't know anything about that. I don't even know who you're talking about. But for $7 Canadian. Wait, well, how much is $7 Canadian? I might look into it. Is $7 Canadian more than like $5? Is it $4? I'm not looking into it for if they're like pesos and you get like 30 cents on the dollar or whatever. I kid. Tuned in late. Thank you. Very generous donation. Sarah Bradshaw. Tuned in late. Just found out about you a week ago and binged all your videos regarding Charlie's assassination. I'm very grateful for your outstanding work. I'm going to email you some information I have. God bless you. Well, God bless you. Right back at you, kid. Fran Barker. I can't believe this evil man is a pastor. You said it. Brilliant find, Baron. I was given it. Now, my presentation might have been brilliant. My analysis certainly was brilliant. My ability to spot the important parts of it, isolate them, timestamp them, and give commentary was beyond brilliant. But the find itself was not brilliant. I just opened an email. Mr. P.G. Whitaker II. That means there's at least one more running around out there somewhere, or was. Emailed you the deets, but Israel has a fair application to geofence tons of churches in California and target with. Yes, I knew about that. Good find, Mr. Whitaker. Kim Finnessy, $10. Thank you. Keep up this out of the box discoveries. Good work. About that, I know a lot of you are new because I had 300 followers 2 months ago. So let me tell you this. What you're getting is what I've been doing for years, 10, 15 years, radio and podcasting. What you're getting is what I do. I try not to give the same take everybody else is giving. That's not to say their takes are bad. And sometimes I will highlight their takes, but I give them credit. I don't want to just put on a show that's just a rehash of whatever. Then you wasted your time. Edie Bronx Girl. Oh, Edie Bronx Girl. Yes, stuck with a socialist mayor. Sorry to hear that, Edie. You are allowed to move. You're not stuck. We still have freedom of association. Pamela Bailey, $10. Thank you. I bought my husband the books you recommended, Blacklisted by History and Assault on Truth. I can't wait to read them. You're going to be pleasantly surprised. They are excellent. Excellent. JFK, RFK, MLK, CJK. I'm guessing that's Charlie J. Kirk. Very sad indeed. All great Americans. All great Americans. You might have been brainwashed to hate one or more of them, but don't. She still lives there and keeps feeding me with good pods like yours. Guys, we're international. Like, we have a strong, I'm not going to tell people, they're going to say, tell me about your podcast. Like, well, I do have a strong presence in the Balkans. Oh, really? Where in the Balkans? I'm not sure. Fuzzy Logic didn't say. I just know it was the Balkans. But it's strong enough that now, obviously, someone in the United Kingdom is now a fan also because he pays in pounds. Pays in pounds. Patrick Archer, $2. Thank you. Original Tyra, thank you for your brilliant presentations. Honey, you ain't seen nothing yet. Sit tight. Tonight's going to be great. Sean Foyt, Christian musician, huge media coverage of him in Canada this past summer. Let us worship. I might look him up. That's more Canadian money. I think we might be up to we could be up north of $10 of Canadian money. I'll have to find somewhere to spend it. Yeah, I will check it out. I don't know much about him. I think you are my favorite podcaster. You think? Hello from Indiana. Well, hello from Middle Tennessee. From one native Hoosier to another. I'm not even my own favorite podcaster. I probably have 8 or 10 regulars I listen to that I'd be more upset to not listen to them than I would be to not listen to me. But thank you. Very kind words. Very kind words. All right, I want to transition this way. Because that sermon we just heard, whatever that was, that sermon. Oh, hold on. I can answer this real fast. No, I'm not going to answer that real fast. All right. That sermon was August 22nd. And in that sermon, Pastor Rob McCoy confidently stated time and time and time again that Charlie had put this Israel issue behind him and he was focused now on Muslims. Meaning he's focused on Muslims being a pest or a cancer, however he described them. He used a parasite. Harsh words, ladies and gentlemen. Let me play you a few questions that Charlie Kirk asked Ben Shapiro. I am not going to play Ben Shapiro's answers if I can avoid it. I might accidentally hit a clip here or there, but you'll notice when I pull him up, he even looks like a demon. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying he looks like, honestly, like when he got his lighting done for this presentation, do you think they were like, we need more lighting from above so it casts long shadows on his face? Yes. Oh, yes. We need lighting that really accents the evil brows. We need lighting that does this number. Oh, that's the lighting right there. Yes, keep moving it up. I want to play these questions because Pastor Rob McCoy just promised me that Charlie Kirk had given up on Israel. And he was no longer asking questions about Israel. He was only going to ask questions and really focus and drill down on Muslims. Ladies and gentlemen, the day before Charlie Kirk passed away, when he did this radio show with Ben Shapiro, he had less than 24 hours left on this earth.
Often, and we're starting our campus tour tomorrow, is that Israel is committing genocide. How do you respond to that, Ben?
Well, that wasn't putting it behind. Yes, Ben, thank you for joining me. People say Israel commits genocide. How do you respond? Oh, boy. Look at Ben's face. Look at Ben's face. Honestly, look at that face. That's the face of somebody who said, I thought Pastor McCoy said you were off of this Israel kick. So that was the one question. That was one of the 3 questions I want to point out. Here's another one.
Questions on Israel. I think it's very important for our audience to hear this, though, because there is an incessant campaign. And one thing a friend said to me, interestingly, which is, okay, Charlie, we've pushed back against the media on COVID, on lockdowns, on Ukraine, on the border. It's like, maybe we should also ask a question. Is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question, that maybe we shouldn't believe.
I'm going to be honest. I can't make my eyebrows do that. I practiced before. I tried to get my eyebrows to do that. And I don't take Botox or anything. It's not a filler issue. It's not a needle thing. I just physically can't get them up that high. Like I tried. Look, guys, I tried because I thought, when I do it, I look like I've seen a ghost. When he does it, he looks like an evil villain. And I wanted to get that evil villain look because I wanted to then, do one of these things but I can't do that. But does it sound to you like he's putting the Israel thing behind him, like Pastor McCoy promised us on August 22nd, coming out of the Matthew 18 step 2 at the Hamptons? No. It doesn't sound like it to me, which means he didn't yield to step 2. We might have to step 3 him, which you saw in graphic detail the following day. Let's go to this last question.
We're running out of time here, but just last question on this, Ben. I know this might be a tougher question, but BB said, quote, I didn't like he said this, I'll be honest. You can't be MAGA if you're anti-Israel. I don't like it for a couple reasons. How did you analyze that statement?
Well, this certainly does not sound at all like Charlie is playing games, playing ball. It doesn't sound like he's playing ball. So now go back and listen to Pastor McCoy's sermon again. I will not play it again. I cannot stand the look of that man, and I just feel like I need to go bathe in holy water. But go back and listen on your own time, please, not on this program. Go back and listen to Pastor McCoy's sermon again. The entire sermon was predicated on the fact that Charlie Kirk was getting in line on this Israel issue. He's put it behind him, and thank God, because we didn't have to go to step 3. We didn't have to go to step 3 of Matthew 18. No, sir, we didn't have to. Well, unfortunately for Charlie, he had not put it behind him, as evidenced by those 3 questions and others on that program. You know why I didn't play anymore? It's an honest Scout's honor. Or is it 2? It's one of those. You know why I didn't play anymore? Because there were times where I wanted the whole Charlie Kirk question, but Ben talked, and I didn't want to hear his voice. I didn't want to hear his voice. Couldn't stomach the thought. So I just didn't play it. I didn't play it. But that was enough. That was enough. So where does Ben Shapiro come from anyway? Where's Ben Shapiro come from? Because I started thinking about this as I was preparing for this program. I was preparing that segment that you just heard, the hour and 8 minutes of. But I was preparing that, and I thought, where the hell did he come from anyway? Let me do a deep dive on it, or a deep-ish dive. I mean, I didn't, put on scuba gear, but I put on a snorkel. Let me show you a website. This website was captured October 11, 2013. So this was more than 12 years ago. 12 years and a month ago. This is a website called Truth Revolt. You may have never heard of it. Some of you younger people may never have heard of this. I remember Truth Revolt. It was when I first got introduced to Benji. Truth Revolt was, you see David Horowitz, this advertisement up here. David Horowitz read in the Horowitz Freedom Center or something like that. Horowitz was a good guy. He died recently, within the last year. Horowitz, I saw Horowitz live at CPAC in 1998, 99, somewhere, maybe 2000. Is when they used to meet in Crystal City at the Marriott in Crystal City. That's a long time ago. But I saw Horowitz there, and I'd always kind of liked him. I didn't have any issues with him. And then this Truth Revolt thing comes out. So what is their mission? Here's their mission: to unmask leftists in the media. I'll tell you about it because it's important to the story tonight. Unmask leftists in the media for who they are, destroy their credibility with the American public, and devastate their funding bases. Well, what do we know about Ben Shapiro? Now, Ben Shapiro founded Truth Revolt, allegedly, with Jeremy Boring, who ended up founding the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro. This Truth Revolt was founded, I think, on October 9th of 2013. I think this was the first screen capture I could find in archive. And so for a couple of years, they operated what essentially is the Daily Wire today, but with less publication and more anger. But the anger thing never really stopped. This was always Ben Shapiro's MO. Ben Shapiro has been in the destroy people's credibility and devastate their funding bases from the beginning. This is who he's always been. this is his thing. So I started thinking, well, where did Truth Revolt come from? And so I went digging around, as I do. I went digging around. Where did Truth Revolt come from? Well, if it popped up in October of 2013, what was Ben doing before October of 2013? Well, I found this Piers Morgan interview. Hold, please. I found this Piers Morgan interview. This Piers Morgan interview here, and I'm not going to play the whole thing, but this Piers Morgan interview was on January 9th, I think, of 2013. You'll see a very young Ben Shapiro
standing on the graves of the children of Sandy Hook, saying they don't seem to care enough about the dead kids. If they cared more about the dead kids, they would agree with you on policy. I think.
Okay, so he's always been this way. Everything you see there is, frankly, who he still is. Maybe he looks a little more like Count Dracula in this picture than he does now. Maybe they've softened his vampiric appearance a little bit, just a little bit. But yeah, so this is who he's always been. Yeah, okay, January 9th, 2013. So then I think, okay, well, do I have any information about that interview? So I go looking and I find this news article. Well, where did it go? Oh, here we go. I find this news article. Now, keep in mind that appearance was, and I've got all this on a spreadsheet. I'm going to go over all this. Don't worry about the dates. I find this news article. It said months before the Piers Morgan interview. That's the interview we just saw, January 9th, 2013. So months before that, Boring and Shapiro had devised a site that would eventually become the Daily Wire. And I thought to myself, I know how this works. When you're looking for the name of a company, you Google it to see if anyone else has the name. So we should be able to spot the planning of Truth Revolt and perhaps even the Daily Wire in Google Trends. Well, yes, we were. We were absolutely able to spot it. And Truth Revolt is particularly interesting, and I'll tell you why. Because you'll notice Truth Revolt is two words stuck together. See that? Truth Revolt, two words stuck together. And because they're stuck together, because it's not a common spelling word, this isn't something a lot of people would otherwise search for. Like if you took Truth Revolt and you separated them, you might find somebody who said, we're searching for maybe a line of oh, how the truth revolt against the masses or what. I don't know. But, you would capture that search in addition to the rest of it. But because they're stuck together, you don't. So we get this New York thing. This is New York in May of 2012 and October of 2012. And I thought, well, Ben didn't live in New York and Jeremy didn't live in New York. They lived in California. Now, maybe they were visiting and doing their research there. Or maybe somebody else was looking up about starting a company called Truth Revolt, and maybe they were just looking for a couple of front people. So I keep digging because that's what I do. I keep digging. I go a little tighter on the New York date so that I can see, was that just one day in New York in May? No. It was actually two. It was May and March. It was May 25 and May 31. Because remember that first one, we had more than a year, so it gave us a week. And again, I'll show you the spreadsheet in a second where all this is colored out. I've got it color-coded. I've got it listed. But you're seeing now that this Truth Revolt search term was taking place in New York in early to mid-2012 and on into early we're not into 2013 yet. So now I dug and dug because I figured it has to be in California. I finally found one in California. Here it is in October of 2012. Now you'll remember if you looked back, October 7th to 13th of 2012, that was the New York time. October 7th to 13th of 2012, that's the California time. So I concluded, as you probably are, that you actually have two people in different locations communicating about the idea to open this website. Now, it could be Jeremy Boring and Ben Shapiro, but my understanding is they both lived in California. They're both based out of Los Angeles. So was there someone else in New York, a funding source, or was there someone else in New York that was also looking this up, that they came up with the idea for Truth Revolt? They pitched it to the boys in California. They were like, yeah, sure, let's check it out. And they looked at it. Yep, we don't see anybody using that name either. Now, lest you think this is an Israeli operation, let me show you. That's not where we are. I searched this every which way you could possibly search it. Every date range, every name. I could find no Israeli connection at that time. So this is before Truth Revolt launches, by way of recap. And again, I've got a spreadsheet. I'll show it to you. This is before Truth Revolt launches. Truth Revolt eventually launches in October of 2013. But if you remember in the article, they talked about how how Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring were talking before 2013 about how to start the Daily Wire, not Truth Revolt. Now, they did say the website that would eventually become the Daily Wire. And I guess you could argue Truth Revolt kind of became the Daily Wire, but it didn't really, because Shapiro and Boring left and the Truth Revolt stayed and someone else ran it for a little while. I think it eventually shut down, but the Horowitz Center didn't give up the IP. They kept it. Someone else tried to do what Ben and Jeremy were doing. But was there an effort at that time, and this is where I'm going to pull up my spreadsheet, and I'll show you all the trend searches that back up what I'm about to show you, but I do want to show you the spreadsheet because this is going to get a little confusing here if I don't. Was there an effort at that time before the Truth Revolt launches to get the Daily Wire going? Because I would think that would be kind of crappy, right? You go to work for somebody, the Horowitz Center, but you're already searching out what you're going to do and how you're going to take over and how you're going to take control of it. That seems kind of crappy. So let me blow this up a little bit so you can see it. Anybody having trouble? No? Okay. Speak now and forever hold your peace. This is the Truth Revolt. This first line. This right here is Bent Key Ventures. Bent Key Ventures actually owns the Daily Wire. So this is an important column here. And then Jeremy Boring shows up over here. But let's look. So Truth Revolt first shows up in New York on two different occasions, May 25 and 26. May 25 and 31 of 2012. And I did capture that first search just because it was a search I ran. Then the next time we see Truth Revolt, that is the Los Angeles date, October 7th to 13th, right there. And then we get, that's October 7th, 13th of 2012. But look what happens here. That same time period, October of 2012, out of California, we already have a search for the Daily Wire, in quotes, the Daily Wire. In other words, somebody thought the Daily Wire would be a cool thing. And let me tell you, I once worked with someone to open one of these media assets, one of these online journals. And the amount of Googling we did before we came up with a name for the publication was astonishing. You would be shocked. Because you want to know that the name you're using, no one else is using. Like, don't think I didn't search Real Baron Podcast. A lot. So you've got Los Angeles and California, but while these searches are being done for Truth Revolt, they're also being done for the Daily Wire at the same time, and this is before Truth Revolt has launched. And then you get this random United Kingdom one. This right here, see this? Random United Kingdom for Jeremy Boring. Could be unrelated, but we will get back to that. Because later the timing of some of these United Kingdom searches don't seem so random. Well, here's your Piers Morgan interview. And the reason I put that down is because they said a few months before that, Boring and Benji were searching or plotting how to open the Daily Wire. Well, it does look like that's the case. The article was accurate because, again, this is the Daily Wire right here. And a few months before that, they were searching how to open the Daily Wire. They also were searching how to open Truth Revolt, or somebody was. And somebody was searching how to open the Daily Wire. They were looking the name up anyway on Google. So then you have the Piers Morgan interview. Then Israel joins the party. You get an Israeli hit in the summer of 2013 and another one a couple of weeks later for the Daily Wire. Could be unrelated. Here's the thing. I searched a zillion other countries and had almost no success. Almost no success. The only other country that I had any success with was the United Kingdom right here. the next year, right? The week or month before it actually launched. But we'll get back to that. So you had these two Israeli ones. Take it or leave it. Do what you want with it. I'm not saying, oh my gosh, this is proof Israelis open. I'm just telling you, it seems like about the same time, California and Los Angeles are searching for the Daily Wire. Israel's also searching the phrase the Daily Wire, in quotes, those three words, the Daily Wire. Could be nothing. Could be nothing. Could be a VPN. Could be anything. I'm just noting it was signal to me, not noise. Now here, this right here, this is when they launched Truth Revolt. And Truth Revolt falls off the searching everywhere after that. So you get these searches that look like planning in New York, New York, New York, and then Los Angeles. You get a Jeremy Boring hit for the United Kingdom, and then you get some California, Israel, California hits for the Daily Wire in about the same time frame. Now we're going back overseas. We've got another United Kingdom hit for Jeremy Boring. Well, about the time you get the United Kingdom hit for Jeremy Boring, that's this F right here. I guess I could freeze that. Okay. It didn't freeze. Yeah, whatever. I froze the wrong one. About the time you get that, here, I'll write it right here. Truth. This is Truth Revolt. This is Bent Key Ventures. This is Daily Wire. And this is Jeremy Boring. Okay. About the time you get this United Kingdom hit, notice the date? Early October 2014. You get a Jeremy Boring in United Kingdom, and you get a Bent Key Ventures. That's the first mention of Bent Key Ventures in Israel. Now, again, Bent Key Ventures, LLC, is the search I ran. Bent Key, one word, Ventures, LLC. That's the search I ran. That seems like an oddly specific search to be showing up in Israel if it's unrelated. And this is when Daily Wire launches down here, September 2015. So you're looking over almost a year in advance. Bent Key Ventures, LLC, is being searched in Israel. And then you've got two more United Kingdom hits, this time for Bent Key Ventures and this time for Daily Wire. So again, Jeremy Boring, Bent Key Ventures, and the Daily Wire being searched in the United Kingdom before the Daily Wire or Bent Key Ventures even exists. Then you've got some Daily Wire in California. And here, right here, the Texas Secretary of State. This May 1st, 2015, this is when Bent Key Ventures, LLC was officially incorporated. That's when it was officially incorporated. So nobody publicly knew about it prior to that. And who would have in a million years thought Bent Key Ventures, LLC, formed in Texas, is something you would want to keep an eye on? Why would you even notice that? And then you go, as soon as they file it, so they file it May 3rd, 2015, and 2 days later in Israel, somebody's searching the Daily Wire, and then somebody in Texas, a month before they launch, is searching the Daily Wire, and then the Daily Wire launches. So that's kind of like the story, according to Google Trends, of how the Daily Wire came to be, or how Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring came to be. You get this notion that they sort of were kicking around an idea and started it on their own. Like they're in their garage with a folding table or something, like a card table. And maybe they put a sheet over it and they're each bellied up to it like, so we should start a media company. We should start a company where we attack people. Because you remember that was the purpose of Truth Revolt, was to attack people. We should start a company where we attack people and we demonetize them. Because remember, should I pull it back up? Do you guys remember that? It's really kind of repulsive, if you want to be honest. Like that's what you want to be known for? Ooh, don't show that one. That's the secret. That's the secret one. That's the secret one we're doing next Wednesday or Sunday. Oh, did I already close that one out? Oh, I did not close it out. This was their mission. Pull it back up. Again, these are such nice guys. Their goal was to unmask leftists in the media for who they are. Leftists meaning people who don't believe in Mitt Romney republicanism. Destroy their credibility with the American public and devastate their funding bases. This is what they tried to do to Donald Trump. So what Ben Shapiro tried to do to Donald Trump is what he successfully did to a few podcasters shortly after this. I'm a John Stuart Mill guy when it comes to speech. Do you know who John Stuart Mill is? Hold on, I'll pull it up. John Stuart Mill's argument was the cure to bad speech is more speech. The antidote to bad speech is more speech and open, vigorous discussion, not suppression. That was John Stuart Mill. I'm a John Stuart Mill guy. I don't want to take Ben Shapiro's right to speak away. I think he adds something to the discussion. I do. He's obviously brilliant. He's very smart. I don't want to take away his right to speak. I don't want to take away any of these. I don't even know who these lefty podcasters are. I don't want to take away their right to speak. I think it's a free market of ideas. Put everything online and see where people go. If you can draw an audience, if you can come up with good research and you can make good, compelling arguments and you're entertaining, people will listen to you. And if you can't, they won't. But that's not what their goal was. Their goal was to destroy their credibility and devastate their funding bases. Do you see the difference between them and me? Do you see the difference between Ben Shapiro and me? You're watching it. It's right there. I don't want to destroy anybody's credibility or devastate their funding base. It's not who I am. I'm a Christian. I don't want to do that. I assume that whoever I'm talking to has a family. I don't want them to be devastated. I don't want them to be unable to support their children. And if there are people out there that are buying what they're selling, then I don't have a very good argument. I must get sharper. I must get better. I don't know if I had this pulled up. I don't know if you want to see this or not. This was the funding for, the filing in Texas. I had this pulled up if you're curious. Just if, people accuse me of making stuff up. May 15th, May of 2015. That's it. So it's all there. All of this is supported. I've got it all done out here. So that's kind of the, do I need to go? Here, let me just do this real fast. This is the easiest way to do this. I'm going to share my whole window. I don't want to share that. I'll share this. Watch this. I'll just go down the list. So this is Bent Key Ventures in Israel. This is the holding company that owns the Daily Wire. You see that? These dates. This is Israel. There's the date right there. October. Now keep in mind, they did not file until May of 2015. Bent Key Ventures in United Kingdom, February 2015. Again, 3 months before they file in Texas. Notice this, Bent Key Ventures LLC. That is such a specific search term. Nothing in the District of Columbia. I checked. Nothing in Texas, weirdly enough, considering Bent Key Ventures LLC was formed in Texas, of all things. We're told Texas drove the train. Sounds more to me like somebody might have helped them, but you make the call. You make the call. Someone might have had the idea and then found somebody to fund it rather than the other way around. Bent Key Ventures, again, not even in California was Bent Key Ventures found. Now let's go to the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. Daily Wire, October of 2012. This was before even Truth Revolt, by the way. And then here again in January of 2014. Again, Daily Wire here. May and June of 2013. Again, before, this was Israel, before Truth Revolt even was founded. The Daily Wire in Los Angeles. Here's our first California pop-up, November of 2013. And then the United Kingdom, again, at the same time they were searching for Jeremy Boring, October of 2014. It's almost as if he might have been, again, a way to read that would be maybe he was calling around over there looking for funding. And someone was like, who the hell is that guy? And what is the Daily Wire? So they Googled it. Here's some more California, the Daily Wire. This is February 2015 before they launched. March of 2015 before they launched. Here it is in Israel again, May of 2015, 2 days after they launch, or 2 days after they file the Bent Key Ventures paperwork. And here is August of 2015 in Texas, finally, before they launch full-time on September 21st, 2015. So that is how you research. That's how you distinguish noise from signal. Now, if I walked you through this and you saw the time I put into it and you saw that for each one of those terms, I was searching lots of different countries, lots of different time frames, lots of different phrases. I was looking up addresses. I was looking up names. And I had a lot of hits that would have been really interesting isolated, but I couldn't determine they were noise. I couldn't determine if they were signal or noise, so I threw them out. But that's it. That's the genesis of the Daily Wire. And this is recorded. It'll be up on YouTube. Aren't they kind of doing the same thing they said they were going to do in Truth Revolt? Like attacking people? Making up stuff? Lies? Attacking their funding bases? Your humor is so appreciated. Thank you, Gene Sweeney. So is yours. Sunshine-ish. Baron BU. Keep bringing the absolute fire. Wiggle, jiggle, and put your left foot out. People only focus on things like body language, and they want to distract you from what's coming out of your mouth. And I've got a lot coming out of my mouth. The upcoming project you're working on, does it have anything to do with the Vegas concert ordeal a few years ago? No, it doesn't. I have gotten your messages loud and clear that you want me to cover that. And I will. But I highly suggest anyone who wants to cover that. I know John Cullen is missing in action right now. He has a YouTube page called John E. Hoover, John space E space Hoover. If you go to that, sort by time, and go all the way back to the beginning of that channel, there's about 200 videos on Vegas. Never before seen footage, things that you didn't know existed, things that were left out of the official narrative, and he has a lot of explanatory material. It will take you literally hundreds of hours to go through it all, so you might want to be a little selective in what you watch. But some of his later videos are compilations and summaries, and they're very good. They're very good. I believe a lot of what he said about that. I don't believe everything he said about it, but I do believe a lot of what he said about it. Murphy Clan, $9.99. Rob McCoy's sermon, What a Sermon, is a psyop we're seeing played out today. Correct. That's my opinion. That also is my opinion. If I went to a church and they were talking about, like, if they gave what basically could have been a CPAC, Conservative Political Action Conference, if it comes around every year, or just some random political rally, I would be disappointed. I would wonder what I woke up for. Love the pod. Your secret 10-year show is Bitcoin. Stephen Godwin, what makes you think such a thing? Gary Smith, thank you. CSM Travis Bean, $50. Wow. I wouldn't ask if I didn't need your help, but I need some advice before my court case. My retainer is substantially higher than $50. Substantially. I'll tell you what, though, if you email me realbaronpodcast@gmail.com, if I am able to review it and think I could point you in any direction to another lawyer that could help you, that'd be fine. I made a deal a long time ago, back in 2014. I made this deal, actually before that. I would never represent somebody I met on the air because there's no upside to it. So thank you. Thank you for the donation. And if you email me, I might be able to point you in the right direction. I don't know. I might not. Starby57, Rob gives off vibes like he's someone's creepy uncle that smelled like Old English and his crusty couch in his nasty shirt in church. Embarrassing. He didn't look like he put a lot of thought into it. I'll say that. Retro de Novo, the comment related to ownership of the media was shocking. Agreed. That's a Rob McCoy thing. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Baron, have you researched EK's mom and her ties to E3 Tech? Some interesting government military. I have. I didn't see a lot of interesting stuff, though. I mean, maybe I wasn't looking in the right place. I was in USA Spending. I was in GovWin. I looked at all the normal places you would look for contracts. I didn't see a lot of interesting stuff. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'll look again. I'm not on the Erica Kirk train, guys. I think I've made that. And I'm sorry if some of you don't like that. But I'm not on the, like, Erica plotted this whole thing train. The Rob McCoy train? I got a foot on it. I'm doing that thing like, where the train starts to pull away and you got your 2 feet and then 1 foot's on the train. And so you start doing this number. I got that thing going on. Oh, that didn't look good with my thumb sticking out. Hold on. Yeah, looks like I had extra appendages. Boom. That's what I'm doing right there. Don't take off without me. Okay, that baby Gap shirt and skinny jeans. Who dresses this guy? And everything he's saying is absolute bull doo-doo. You and me both, Rennie. Rini. I believe you. Everything you said is true. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. Ben got married in Israel. His wife is the link. People get married destination weddings all the time. Is his wife Israeli? I didn't know that. Or is she just getting married over there? You can see what I research and what I don't. I got whole blind spots, and I'll just admit them. I'm not going to cover them up. With who owns Google Alphabet, could the trends be manipulated in any way to hide the data points? Yes. They absolutely could. I've given examples on the show, but I could probably do them in real life. I could probably run every one of those searches right now again in real life tomorrow, and they won't hit. Where I've spent days running those searches, and they hit every time. But once I do the program, they tend not to hit. You go back and try to find Hunter Kozak. Go try to find Hunter Kozak in Google Trends. You go and then go back to my old shows and see how many times I showed you Hunter Kozak in different places. Different dates, different jurisdictions, D.C., Israel, Huntsville, all. Now go try to find Hunter Kozak. I dare you. Go try to find George Hopkins Zen. It's interesting. Super sticker, $5. Thank you. Hours 37, $10. He said, I see your $5 and I raise you. I forget what something Bronx Girl. Edie Bronx Girl. Searched Charlie Kirk chewing. Wow, yes, Charlie Kirk was frequently observed chewing during his public appearances. Loud, distracting. There's more. Well, we know what Rob McCoy thinks about people who chew out loud and what he wants to do to them. I think the chewing was a metaphor for people who support Israel. That's what I think. Gesundheit! That's what my grandma used to say. I had a little German grandma. And that's what she used to say when people sneezed. And she called underwear grundles. I think it was grundies. Greystone did a live tonight about Betar. B-E-T-A-R. What's that mean? Greystone did a live tonight about B-E-T-A-R. Please check it out. I think a few names might be of interest in your search. ETA, it wouldn't let me send my super chat unless I space that name. Well, I don't know what it means, so I'm going to have to, Mr. Gesundheit, and bless you, I'm going to have to go to, is it Greystone or Gray Zone? Oh, Gray Zone. You misspelled Gray Zone. That's what it is. That's okay, though. I can go to Gray Zone. I watch Gray Zone some. I don't watch everything they put out, but I watch a lot of their stuff. Baird, Truth Revolt mission is laughable. They are leftists and the rightists. Who is they? Truth of AIDS. You check that stream out with John Cullen. Yes. The one you sent in the email? Yes, I did. I don't know anything else to say about it right now. Please open my email. Thanks for all your hard work. Patriot of 50. I open every one. I might not respond to many, but I do open them all. I am from Cookeville, Tennessee. I've been there. I used to go to a basketball camp at Tennessee Tech. Cindy Yates, 2640. I am from Cookeville, Tennessee. That's home of the GOAT, Rich Froning. Church for us is Life Church, where we actually get a real message. Besides, Rob McCoy is making it obvious his message is all about Charlie. He don't do church. Love the channel. Wiggle all you want. Hey, you just won me over with the wiggle thing. Because I'm wiggly. I can't help it. Not too surprised about UK links and Daily Wire. I can't say much, though. Please, by all means. Talking online has become like walking naked in the streets these days. You can email me, realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to know the link. I don't know it. Follow up on the plane. I'm getting mixed opinions. The plane that had all the surveillance pictures, I have gotten a lot of people. I mean, probably 30 or 40 people who have experience with these airplanes. And it's probably 50-50. Half of them are like, but bro, there's nothing there. These guys just doing a thing and whatever. And they happened to release the pictures because of the newsworthy event. Otherwise, they would have just taken the pictures and you'd have never noticed. And then the other half are like, no, that's weird. And that you absolutely could use these planes for intel, and you could get a quick snapshot of where everybody was. You could have certain items on your team so that they would be picked up by certain devices, so you'd know where everybody is, and you could get on the ground. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of it. I mentioned it because it looked very interesting to me, but I cannot for any, no part of me can say one way or the other that something was something. Now, here's a treat. I've got something for you. Do you guys remember Skyler Baird? Do you remember a guy named Skyler Baird? I'm just going to tell you by way of introduction. He was very close in proximity, pretty much at all times, to Rick Cutler, one of Charlie Kirk's security people. And Skyler Baird was standing on the fence, I think, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And then he ends up in the memorial. Yes, the lip quiver guy. That's him. Then he ends up at the Charlie Kirk Memorial with a floor pass right up front. Then he ends up like feet away from the president of the United States. And he had all these weird interviews. Like, man, he was interviewed on so many different shows, and I couldn't figure out for the life of me why. There's all this speculation. Is he a Fed? Is he, is he Intel? Is he this? Is he that? He put a video out 2 days ago. Now, here's the shocking thing to me, because I see Skyler Baird's name all over X. If you search Skyler Baird, Skyler Baird, Baird, on X, you get a zillion hits. Check this out. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. Pause for a second. I got it on the wrong tab. Doesn't communicate with that browser. Check this out. Now he's up to 200 and something subscribers now. On the other one, I can show that one. He's up to 267 subscribers now. But look at this, 103 views. 103 views. An hour and 10-minute explanation of I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to. But I got to work tomorrow, and I'm not staying up late tonight. So I don't know when I'll get to it. Sometime this week. I'll put it on my calendar. Some evening when I'm free or open, I'll spend some time with it. I'm very interested in this. And I cannot believe that the guy that has generated this much interest on X only has 103 views. Again, this was an emailer who sent this to me and was like, hey, Skyler Baird, by the way, has this up. What's this? Oh, that's my Jeremy Boring thing. I thought it was fascinating. You guys can go watch it. Do with it what you will. I don't want to be the one to tell you what to do with it. But folks, I'm going to get out of here. Oh, one more thing I found interesting online. I don't want to say it. Let me think for a second. Nope, I'm not going to say it. I found something interesting online. It was a certain controversial figure recently demonetized by not recently, attacked by Ben Shapiro when he was 18 years old. I don't know if you guys are following me and know who I'm talking about. His first ever episode was posted to YouTube. I watched it. It was fascinating. He was a Ted Cruz guy. If you don't know who I'm talking about, I can't help you. But this is a guy who is on like a generational run here lately, and I'm scared to even say his name on YouTube, even though he's been on the Patrick Bet David podcast. He's been on Tucker Carlson podcast, been on Candace. I think she put it behind a paywall, but he was on Candace. He did a couple of e-girls. I'm not sure how he ended up on the Red Scare podcast. But somebody posted his very first episode on YouTube. Well, for pedagogical purposes, I had to watch it. And I was expecting like this, what he is now. I mean, very forward about controversial topics. Not at all. The guy was a Ted Cruz guy. But I'll say this, at 18 years old, he was unbelievably talented. I did not have that talent behind a microphone at 18. Now, today, I'll blow him away. Not him today and me today. Me today versus him at 18. Like, let me I'm not picking on someone my own size right now. But yeah, I watched it. I took one for the team. Big Ted Cruz guy, talking about how pure of a conservative Ted Cruz was, how much he loved Ted Cruz's foreign policy. I don't think he knew he was Mr. Heidi Cruz back then. All right, I'm going to get out of here. It's been an hour and 46 minutes. You guys have been spectacular. I mean, absolutely spectacular. Let's meet up again Wednesday. I doubt I'll do a show before Wednesday, but let's meet up again Wednesday. Let's have a good time. I've got a lot of good stuff to talk about. The super secret show is coming. It's no more than a week and a half away. It might even be a week away. It might be next Sunday, but we're going to get there. In the meantime, have fun, everybody.